Intentional Currency podcast. My name is Yasmin. I'm the founder of the Intentional Currency, and our mission is to help Muslim women take control of their money, build wealth in a way that's pleasing to Allah, and feel confident making financial decisions that serve their families and their communities. In this podcast, we're bringing you real conversations from some incredible women who share our mission. These women are leaders, change makers, and financial literacy advocates from around the world. Together, we'll explore what it means to create wealth that's rooted in faith and designed to have a positive impact. Each guest brings their own journey, their struggles, their wins, whether it's setting up an emergency fund, learning how to invest, or figuring out how to manage finance and family. Our hope is that their stories inspire you, empower you, and remind you that financial empowerment is for every Muslim woman who wants it. Thank you so much for joining us, and let's get into the conversation.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Intentional Currency podcast. I am here with Iftikhar Al-Mohammed, who is a licensed real estate broker in the province of Quebec. He's an expert in halal home ownership. And today he's going to talk to us about the process of buying a home when you're trying to avoid interest, when you want to do it the halal way. We're going to talk about some of the common misconceptions. And at the end, we'll be talking about how you can work with him if you're interested in buying a home without interest. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for receiving me. Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum.
So you have become one of the trusted voices when it comes to halal home ownership. What inspired you to focus on halal home ownership?
It's a great question, but it all began with a halal food diet. So the story behind how I ended up coming to halal home financing was a decade ago. My best friend's younger brother challenged me into having a strict halal food diet, in a sense that, instead of not just eating pork, how about you also going to the proper halal and everything, na'udhu billah. And I was like, at that point, I was telling him, my prayers are barely aligned. How do you even want me to be aligned with my diet? And he challenged me, is like, how about you just try for like a month? Try for a month. I'm like, okay, I'll take the challenge. And turns out that 6 months later, I noticed, I was doing a challenge. And then I noticed that it's been 6 months into the fact that I have been eating strictly halal. And that really sparked something nice within me. I was like, if it's that easy and it goes that quick, then maybe I should start paying attention to more Islamic values. And then it opened my eyes to subhanallah, salat, obviously, the prayers, and snowball effect. Fast forward a couple of years later, it opened me to the halal business side of things, if you want. I've been doing real estate for all these years, and slowly but surely I started paying more attention to the community and wanting to help the Muslim community. And that's how I ended up finding and falling within the fold of halal mortgages, halal home financing.
When it comes to a halal mortgage or halal home ownership, what makes the process different for someone who's coming into it?
Really, for the most part, it's pretty similar. What makes it different would be in terms of the paperwork, the clauses, when we get to the closing time, and assignment clauses. So for the most part, you won't see a difference. It will be in the documentation and in the fine prints.
And what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions that clients have when it comes into coming into the world of real estate, going into halal home ownership? What have you noticed with clients?
One thing for sure, most people think that real estate industry is completely haram, The real estate, mortgage, or haram. A lot of people would see me in the mosque, in the masajids, wearing clothing like this, going to prayer and stuff, and they would know that I'm a real estate agent. So they would have this question in the back of their head, and I could see it creeping, I could see something itching in them, and then they'll take the courage up and be like, hey, listen, I wanted to ask you, I see that you come to the mosque and everything, but like, how is it that you're doing real estate agent as a work? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, isn't that haram? I'm like, no, it's not haram. Why would it be haram? And just to be clear, the part that is, if you want, that people think is haram, the part that is haram of the real estate work is when you bring a client and you help the client into a conventional financing system. That's where it becomes haram for you, because at this point you're partaking into the process of them getting access to riba, if you want.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Let's say somebody's thinking of buying a house in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
What should they start preparing now in order to get ready?
The first thing they should get prepared with is a down payment. Have a pre-approval handy, and especially start looking for properties properties fly off the shelf very fast, and have a well-rounded real estate agent that can help them navigate through the market. That would be definitely the first 3-4 steps to do from the beginning. Yeah.
And so, of course, you are a Muslim real estate agent and you specialize with halal financing, with halal home ownership.
Yes.
So, when doing each deal, whether it's conventional or a halal deal, what are some of the main differences that you see as a broker?
The main differences that I see is in the barakah, if you want, and the journey of. The journeys are the same in the sense that, you're shopping for properties, you're managing the expectation, you're managing a lot of psychological stress and so on for the clients, for the buyers. For the sellers, it's a bit different, but we'll talk about the buyers in this case. But the barakah is what you see. You can't really explain barakah how else can I explain barakah? It's really something special.
It's like the multiplication of good because you did things in the right way and with the right intention.
And with the clients as well, you see how and they share their life story. They explain you where they're coming from, why they're moving, what has been happening to them, and you see how things are unfolding, and you see that Allah is using you as a means to help them get over this, crisis. And then you get into a blockade, and then it opens up, and they talk about doing istikhara prayers and so on. So. And things really unfold in the most natural and the most beautiful way. So that's the big difference that I see.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of people, first of all, a lot of people are maybe the first home buyer in their family.
Yeah.
A lot of people grew up in families where renting was a lot more common because they were trying to avoid interest. Now, for a lot of people, spending that much money in one transaction is probably the biggest transaction of their life. And so the process can be very, very intimidating.
Yes.
Can you walk me through from the moment that somebody calls you and says, I'm interested in buying a home? What does the process look like? Step by step, what can somebody expect?
Absolutely. So from the moment they enter the Biosphere of Manzil database, they can expect a quick phone call, a quick communication. We start talking about the project. We elaborate on where they want to go. We make sure that everything is realistic. Then we quickly get into the pre-approval with Manzil, make sure that the documentation is ready and things can flow properly. It's very important in today's market to be pre-approved, actually to be ready. You want to be ready in today's market. Things move very fast. So that's what they can expect. And once they are qualified and we have the pre-approval and everything is ready, we start the fun part, the shopping part. So that's how it works and then we negotiate a property and we close on the property of the dream.
And what would you say, how much time does it take from the moment that somebody fills out the form to start working with you? How long does it usually take to go through that process of being pre-approved, finding a property, negotiating, and then finally sort of making that final purchase? What would you say is kind of the expected timeline?
The expected timeline in today's market, I say today's market because it changes anywhere between a month to 4 month time. So anywhere between a month to 4 month time from the moment you start shopping. So that is when you're on realtor.ca, on the internet, you start shopping and get pre-approved, you negotiate, visit, and then you move into your house within 4 months' time.
Got it. So somebody would need to have their down payment. They would need to have a good amount of credit. They would need to have a high enough income to be able to be approved for that amount. They go through the pre-approval process. Once that's done, that's when they start their journey with you and finding a home and making those negotiations and finally making that offer.
Correct.
Is that it?
Correct. That's correct. Yes.
Amazing. So having worked for many, many years in the industry, you've probably seen a lot of mistakes that clients have made. What would you say are some of the biggest mistakes that clients make and how can they avoid them?
Number one mistake buyers make, so because there's two sides of clients, the sellers and the buyers. So number one mistake buyers make is not get an agent, not affiliate themselves with an agent. They really think that they could get a better deal for whatever reason. So that's number one mistake. Number two is not being ready. They think, it's okay, I'll find the house, I'll make an offer, then I'll go get pre-approved. It doesn't work like this anymore. There was a time, you could do this. There was a time where you could have an offer, submit an offer, and then go to the restaurant, have some dinner, spend some time, come back at night, and then reply back to the offer. It doesn't work like this anymore. Now things are so fast now. So that's the second error that a lot of buyers are doing. And the third one would be not having a proper understanding of what the reality of the market is. People make up their own idea, or they listen to other people. My IT manager, for example, my IT manager said that the market is going to crash. What does the IT manager know about the real estate market? Or, this kind of assumption that people have. So those are the mistakes, errors people do.
No, that's a really good point. And I think exactly as you said, having a real estate agent is essentially what's going to help you protect yourself from all of these different types of mistakes. All right. So a lot of people, especially in our Muslim community, are very overwhelmed by this entire process. And to be honest, a lot of people are even afraid to take that step of making such a large transaction. As I was saying, for a lot of people, this is the first time that anyone in their family has bought a property. And so, what would you say to a client who is feeling overwhelmed by this process?
As a Muslim, we would say that, start with istikhara. I'm repeating the istikhara part because if you allow me, I'd like to share a story.
Yeah, of course.
So when I wanted to join Manzil, I was in talk with Nader Tuhami, our national team lead, and we've been doing a lot of back and forth. And after like maybe 2-3 weeks, I finally made up my mind, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm ready. Let's do this. I want to jump on board with you, and let's do this. I'm ready to join Manzil. And he said to me, he's like, I'm very happy that you want to join on board, but I'm not going to accept your answer for now. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, no, I want you to go back home. I want you to pray to Rakhal Istikhara and get back to me after a day or two. And that was like the most amazing thing. I really like that. So to answer your question, like, what can you say to a lot of people that are overwhelmed? As a Muslim, speaking to other Muslims, not that non-Muslim cannot get any Manzil product. You guys are all welcome. Everybody's welcome. It's the people that are overwhelmed. As soon as you get overwhelmed, you should go back to Allah. Like, what else can I say? Come to me. I can reassure you. Of course I can, but there's nothing more than being reassured by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the right way.
And I think that's such a testament to why it's so important to have a real estate agent or to work with a team that understands your values.
Yes.
Because ultimately, that is the answer that we need to hear.
Amazing.
And what a blessing to be working with somebody in the largest transaction of your life who really understands that and is not only going to guide you on the financial side, but is also going to be able to remind you of our values and the way that we do things.
That's amazing. And as you know, it is said in the Quran that a reminder is beneficial to the believer. So yeah, I totally agree with what you said. That's it.
So let's talk about one of the biggest complaints in our community, which is that mortgages or halal homeownership is way more expensive than conventional. And maybe it's just cheaper to rent. What do you tell clients who have this belief?
It is a belief that is founded for the simple fact that it's an economical truth. Economical truth in the sense that it's a law of supply and demand. That's it. There's too much demand, not enough supply. So the rates, the price, if you want, of Manzil product or any Islamic product here in Canada could be a bit more expensive than what the conventionals are offering. But it's just a matter of time before rates start adjusting or being very competitive. And as a matter of fact, Manzil's product is very competitive compared to what the conventional products are offering you. So
now we kind of touched on this, but I'm curious to hear just throughout the process, how do you find that being Muslim changes the process when you're dealing with Muslim clients? Because I went through the home buying process. I also chose to have a Muslim real estate agent. It was very, very important to me. And I know that it made a very big difference in my own home buying journey. And for every property I've purchased, I've always used somebody Muslim. What would you say to somebody who's looking for a real estate agent? What's the difference with having a Muslim real estate agent?
Well, you said it. The difference is that we understand the values. It's one thing to understand the process, the market, the reality, the industry, the numbers, the comparables, the analysis. Wow, but what about my values? What do you know about my values? What do you know about how I feel? What do you know about when it's like Salat time? What do you know when it's Friday prayers? What do you know about it's Ramadan? What do you know about how I am actually feeling when I'm stepping into the house? All those unseen. Okay, now I'm getting a bit too, values, understanding the values, the untouchables.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, having worked for many years, you've worked with many different clients. Can you share a success story of somebody who went through the halal homeownership process in Quebec and how that looked like for them?
Absolutely, and I'm so happy to share this story. We'll just call it's a couple with two. It's a family, a Muslim family. We just closed the transaction with them for them. To tell you their story, the wife, she has been shopping online for the last 15 years. For the last 15 years, she has been shopping and never made a purchase, although they both have very good jobs. But nothing was available for them in an Islamic sense of things. So for 15 years, she's been like just browsing, shopping, and she would tell herself like, "Oh, inshallah, one day I'm gonna buy a house. It's gonna be cash." And for 15, what I'm trying to say is that for 15 years they have been saving up money. And she's like, "I'm gonna buy it cash. I don't want to get into riba." Although they had a dhurura, they had a necessity. The way they were living, the way they are currently living, it's not livable. They shared with me what's happening. And it's really, it should be legal how their current landlord is keeping them and treating them. But needless to say that, so for 15 years, she has been shopping and she never gave in to the riba system. And the success story is that we have been shopping with her since 3 months. I told you it takes about 3 months time. For the past 3 months, we've been making offers, visiting this and that, and nothing's working out to the point where they even started looking at houses that were not livable. It's like, you know what? It's okay. I'm still going to take this. It's going to suit my needs. At least I'm going to be away from the horror that I'm living right now. And we actually did also make an offer on a not really good house knowingly, and it didn't work. Alhamdulillah. All that to say that at the end, the very last property, we stepped out of another bad visit, and then a property came up. She opened the email. I looked at it. We were all looking at it, and I called the real estate agent right away. We went for the visit. We made an offer. We got it, and the house is beautiful. Alhamdulillah. Even the inspector, he went to the inspection, and he said this house is really impeccable. After the inspection, as a matter of fact, me and the client, we went to pray Jummah together. It has never happened to me. Praying Jummah with my client, Alhamdulillah. So that's a success story that I want to share, that I'm very happy to share with you. She's been waiting for 15 years. I want to say to you that when I had the initial phone call with her, because she came into the system and then I called her up to know what her project is, I had tears in my eyes when I was listening to her story. I had tears in my eyes because I was like, this is the kind of client I'm going to be helping through Manzil. Alhamdulillah, I'm so happy. So happy. So, yeah.
Alhamdulillah, that's why we do what we do, is to be able to offer that option.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody is in Quebec or in Canada and they want to start this process, what action can they take right now? What should they be doing?
Go on Manzil website, fill out the type form, answer the question. It's a very fun and very rich website, easy to navigate. And not just Manzil. I mean, learn about Islamic mortgages, Islamic finances, see what's out there. Start with that. Get to know, because it's new to Canada.
And especially it's new to Quebec.
Especially Quebec.
We're brand new in Quebec.
Exactly.
So definitely, I think taking the time to get to know the team.
Yeah, exactly.
And the process. Actually, on that note, can you share a little bit about the team?
Yes. Don't get me started. So the team is, mashallah, it's incredible. From their Sharia compliance auditing team to this beautiful person, both beautiful persons sitting in front of me. And not only that, but the story and the journey of how each member ended up being at Manzil. We could talk a lot about Dr. Sawaf, how amazing he is. Since I said his name, I want to share a story about him.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first time I met him, me and Nader Tumahi, we had already met, and then we were waiting for him to come to his hotel. And we've been waiting for a while. He had some delay and comes to the hotel. We go to see him, drops his stuff. First thing he says is like, "Okay, did you guys pray Salah?" And I was like, I was like, look at this man. He's like, the first thing he says is, "Did you guys pray Salah?" After a long journey, there's a lot of things, busy schedule, busy day, and he drops everything and then he just turns around. And I was concerned about, did you eat? Are you thirsty? Do you want fruits? You know? And I literally told him, like, are you guys hungry? You want me to get you some food? He's like, no, did you pray salah? I'm like, subhanAllah. So that speaks volume. So it starts from here. And not only, we talk about Muhammad Sawafullah, but, we can talk about Mustafa, we can talk about Saad, we can talk about Nadir, we can talk about each and every single member. And one thing I noticed is that Allah is the best of planner. If you ask Muhammad Sawaf, did you handpick this person, this person, this person? No, he didn't handpick nobody. When he said, the other day we're eating and he was explaining, everything just came to him slowly. It's so.
Alhamdulillah, I really feel the same way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when it comes to, especially as Muslims, when we're spending 8-9 hours working every day, you want to make sure that what you're doing during the day is in alignment with our faith. Yeah. Because you want to make sure that you're doing good things with your time. And even in my own initial interaction with you, I remember I was a little bit nervous. I was thinking, I hope that this is going to work out really well. And subhanAllah, after that first time that I met you, I remember thinking, like, alhamdulillah, I'm so happy that this is going to be the team for Quebec, inshallah, because our values, I think, were really in alignment. And ultimately, when you are working for a Muslim company and serving Muslims and helping Muslims do things in the right way, that's what's so important, is it has to be good from the inside out.
Truly.
My grandfather always says, you can't make kheer with sour milk, right? Like, every ingredient has to be good for the end result to be good. And I really agree. I feel the same way, that when it comes to Manzil and when it comes to the team, our clients can feel that difference. They know that this isn't something, this isn't just marketing. We didn't just put interest free on the website.
Exactly.
This is something that at every level, even amongst ourselves, we're reminding each other to be better and to do things in the right way. Even in our families, in our meetings, every time we gather, we always remember to talk about Allah and to remind ourselves of this purpose. And so I'm happy that you brought that up, because to be honest, it's a big part of what makes us different, or what makes halal home ownership different, what makes our realty team different, is the fact that that's what you're getting.
Really great. I'm happy that we're thinking the same. I think every single team member of Manzil feels the same about every other member. It's really something incredible. And as you said, clients can feel that. And some clients have been telling me, some clients even thank us. They're like, oh, thank you so much for what you're doing. And this and that. And like, we're not superheroes, but I do understand why some people think that, why they're thanking us. As it was brought up to my attention, it's because we're fighting such an uphill battle. We're fighting a riba system. And, it's like David versus Goliath type of thing. So obviously it feels like we're not portraying ourselves as heroes, no. It's the people that are talking and saying that about us. Alhamdulillah. We like to consider ourselves heroes.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you
for the work that you do. Thank you for clarifying the process. And if anybody is interested in working with you, inshallah, we're going to have a link to the form in the caption, inshallah. So they're able to fill that out, get in touch with you, start the pre-approval process. This is for any Muslim across Canada. We're able to, either one of us or someone on our team, inshallah, is going to be able to assist. Thank you so much for what you do, and inshallah, I know we'll be speaking soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure. Wa iyaakum. Wa alaikum salam.